Hi, my name is Lumos, and I am back for another solve here on BremSter's channel. I'd like to thank everyone for the very nice comments that I've received, and I'm really glad to be back, so here I am again. So BremSter kind of gave me the March of the Quads puzzle back, which I was not aware of before, and after kind of running through the options and looking around at the puzzles, I was sort of interested in looking at Parapets, and this is because I like Entropic Lines and I like puzzles that involve coloring, so I figured this might be a good one for me to try out. So without further ado, I guess I will read the rules. So normal Sudoku rules apply, which means that digits in every box, row, and column must contain a complete set of the digits 1 through 9 without repetition. Also, digits in quadruple circles, like this 3, 6, and 7, must be placed at least once in the 4 cells touching that circle. So there has to be a 3, 6, and a 7 somewhere in this quad, hence the name quad. Any set of 3 sequential cells along this entropic line, which is really, really long and makes like kind of a loop, must contain a low digit, a middle digit, and a high digit. So I have to do like low, middle, high, or high, low, middle, or, you know, the order doesn't matter, but they have to be, each consecutive set has to contain a low, middle, and a high, and that pattern will repeat along the whole line. Also, the digits on the line may repeat if allowed by other rules. So if I placed like a 4 here, I could place a 4 here because those don't see each other. So without further ado, I think I can go ahead and get started. So I'll restart my time. And like I said, I like coloring. So I think I'm going to start by coloring the puzzle. And I don't know which one is which. So I am going to just color every 3 squares because I know that, okay, so maybe before I do that, let's explain why that would work. But okay, so I know I have a repeating pattern of 3 digits. Like I said, it could be low, middle, high, it could be low, high, middle. It doesn't have to necessarily be, you know, consecutive or anything, but I will have a repeating pattern from each set of digits, the low, the middle, the high. So that means that every 3 digits I will know they're going to be from a certain group, even if I don't know what that group is yet. So I will go ahead and color them, and I know that that will help me solve this puzzle. I didn't mean to grab that one, but we'll recolor it later. All right, and that looks good. So I'll make them green. They do have standardized colors. So typically when we're doing Entropic Lines puzzles, we would color the low digits red, the middle digits yellow, and the high digits blue. Or at least that's how I typically color them. But since I don't know which is which, we'll just color them as such. And like I thought, by doing this, I'm kind of revealing something useful that I will explain once I've finished coloring here. And I'm sure you guys will see it too, but now that I've colored, I see that in some of these like rows, or at least in every row, I have at least one of in like every, I don't know, row or column that is sort of impacted by this line. I've got at least one of the sets has a full complete set of 3, which means that, like, let's say that like these 3 are orange, right? If those were low digits, then I know that the whole set is there. I know I have 1, 2, and 3. And that will help me a lot, I think, especially paired up with something like this quad. So this quad has 2 low digits on it. And I know that those 2 low digits can't be next to each other, but they have to both be here, which I think tells me they will be right there. So they have to be both on the line, but they can't be touching each other. Or they can be touching each other, but not in the pattern, so it wouldn't go like green, green. So these 2 are 1, 3. And now I have basically just revealed that green is low, as I'm hoping that this logic is all making sense, but I think that means that green's low. So I will now actually change the greens to blue, because let's, keep some standard set of coloring, right? Oh, wait, red, sorry, not blue, and we'll fix that. Okay. Now that looks totally awful and kind of hard to tell the difference, we'll leave it though, because I hopefully will get the others. But now that I've got 1 and 3 placed, I know that the last digit from that set is 2, so 2 goes right there. And up here, this could be 1, 2, or 3. It'll probably be 3. I think. Yeah, I think it actually has to be. Yeah, because 3 is a low digit, and there's only one place for a low digit to go. So, or on this, like in this set of quads, I don't know, quad cells. So that places a 3 right there. Down here, I think, well, that means that, let's go ahead and like maybe highlight all of these as 1, 2, or 3, right? The red's kind of already telling me that, but I'm doing that because of the quads themselves. So if I look at this 1, 4, 7, there's 2 places that this one could go. It could go either here or here, but I know that one of those is a 1. So this cell is not a 1. And when I come over here, I only have 1 digit that can be low, or at least that has to be low here on the quad. I've got a 2. So that means this is a 2. And this will look over, so this is not a 2. And yeah, I knew I would like this puzzle. This was a good place to go. Sort of the same thing that I did with the 1, 3. I've got 2 digits from the middle group, 4 and 6 for this quad, right? So this will go 4, 6, and I can now make the claim that pink is the middle digits, and I can change the color, which will hopefully make these easier to tell apart. And I said that would be yellow, right? Nope, I just went from pink to yellow. Now it's red, orange, and yellow. But it does look a little bit better. And that actually tells me that the orange ones, because I haven't given them a set yet, I haven't assigned them a set, they will be the high digits. So this will be blue, and what did I do here? There we go. All right, now we've got something going here. All right. Now that I know that blue is high, and there's only 1 blue space on this quad of digits, and 7 is a high digit, I can place 7 right there. Let's see. So then this is 8 or 9. And that also tells me I can place, this 7 looks up, telling me that I can place a 7 right here by the same logic, where there are 2 places where the 7 could go by the fact that it is a blue digit, but this 7 is looking up, so the 7 goes here, and this is also an 8 or a 9. And then same thing I did with the 7 down in box 9. This has to be an 8 because there is only 1 place where a high digit can go on this quad, and it's right there, so that's an 8. And that makes this 7 or 9 pair. And let's see if I can come up with anything else. Oh, this 4, 6 pair means that this is the last of the yellow group, and the only other digit that hasn't been accounted for is 5, so that's a 5. This is also an 8, 9 because of the pair going across there. And oh, there's only 1 place for a middle digit to go on this quad, and it's here in this yellow cell, so 6 goes right there. And that makes this a 4 or a 5. And yeah, this is the only place that a middle digit can go on this quad, so this is a 4. Also cool. So that makes this a 5 or a 6. So this is a 4 or a 5. This can be any of 4, 5, or 6. This could be any of 4, 5, or 6. All right, so we've had a good break in here. I feel pretty good about that. All right, let's figure out what happens next, right? So I know that there's a 9 somewhere up here because 9's on a middle digit, so it doesn't go there. So there's going to be a 9 on one of those 2, which means that this is not a 9. And also just because the 9 has to be on the quad in box 2, that tells me that this is not a 9. So this is an 8, and this is a 9. And this 8 will look down to make this a 9 as well. This is going to be an 8 or a 9. And this will be a 7 or an 8. Five's going to go in one of these 2 squares because the other ones are marked up. But this 5 looks over to make this a 5. This 5 looks over to make this a 4. And I think that's it. These two 4s look up, so there is a 4 here in box 3, or at least on this side of box 3. I actually think the only things left are middle digits for this row. Yellow's the only thing that hasn't been either marked up with a pair or filled, so 4, 5, and 6, and then this 5 tells me that that is not a 5. And this 6 in the box tells me that this is not a 6, and otherwise I think those are kind of unaccounted for. All right, these 9s looking over tells me that 9 goes up here in the top. And I know it's not in the middle because of the 7-9 pair here. I know that this is 4 or 6 because it cannot be a 5 because of the 5 in the box. These two 8s looking over means that there's an 8 up in the top of box 3. I know there's like 3 blues in here, so I will mark them up. And there's 3 reds on this, so like that. Which means that I think that forces these 2 squares to be yellow. Well, no, I don't know. Well, yes, it does, because all of my reds and all of my blues are accounted for. So that means that this is yellow, which makes this a 6 because it sees both a 4 and a 5. And then this one is just, from 4, 5, or 4 or 5. But it doesn't have, it's not defined yet. But I think any of the rest of these could be a yellow depending on how everything plays out. Let's see. Where do I want to go next? I might go ahead and color things. I think we're going to end up with a fully colored board, just partially because I like to do that, but maybe because it might end up being helpful in the long run. So I will go ahead and keep track until I don't need to anymore. I know that there's a 4 here in the bottom of box 8 because of the 4 looking over here and this 4-6 pair looking over, and also because everything in this row has already been marked up. Okay, so because these are all, okay, so all of the yellows in here in row 6 have actually been identified. We've already colored them in. And we also know that all of the blues in this box have been kind of identified. They're somewhere on this quad, right? So that means that these both have to be red, if that makes sense. Like, they can't be yellow because the yellows from the row are already filled in and the blues from the box are already quasi filled in. So these are all red and not white. So they're from 1, 2, or 3, definitely. And that also gives us a little bit of a 1, 2, 3 triple, which tells us that all the rest of these are blue. And because this blue sees a 7 and a 9, it will be an 8, which makes this a 9. So this 9 will look over to make this a 7, and this 7 looks down to make this a 9. And this blue sees a 7 in the box and an 8 in the row, so it is a 9. And this 9 makes this a 7 because that's the last of the blues you needed to fill in that box and that row. So that's pretty good. That tells me that there's an 8. Well, yeah, that tells me that the only digit that can be here is an 8, and also that there's only one blue in between these two cells because there's already 2 blues accounted for in the row. So both of these are blue, and they're also from 7 and 9. So that's a 7-9 pair. I also know that 8 is going to be somewhere over here. So that means that one of these is blue. The other 2 blues are right here in row 4. So that makes this red. And there's a lot of color talk going. It's just because I can say for certain there are 2 blues here. There's only 3 of each type of color, and the other blue is in one of these 2 cells. So that makes this red by default because the yellows are also all the way colored in. So this is a blue-red pair. How do I? There we go. Which, missing a few cards, always thinks it's funny when we are talking about colors as if they're numbers. Yeah. That means that one of these is yellow, but I don't know which one. But only one of them is yellow, not both. And this is a yellow-red pair. So it's just 1, 2, 3, 5, or 6. And I'm mostly coloring these just in case I run into something where maybe, if these 2 cells were both blue, I would have 4 blues in a row or something like that. So I'm looking, the only reason I'm coloring this much is just to see if I can catch something that's not ever going to work, something that's illogical. I know that one of these is blue, one of them's 9, so one of them's blue. These 2 9s these 2 9s in rows 7 and 8 look over, so there's no 9s in these 2, and these 2 9s look down, so I can place a 9 right there, and that's blue, so I'll color it. Yeah, I'm enjoying this puzzle. I mentioned earlier that it's by the Skunkworks team. I hope I mentioned that earlier, but it seems that it's also lead authored by Sotek. So I'm really enjoying it, and yeah, it's definitely a good puzzle. I'm really enjoying it. Just trying to figure out where I'd like to go next. I know that somewhere there's a yellow in here, but that's all I've got. So basically I know that there's 1 yellow in here, there's 1 yellow in here, and there's 1 yellow in here, which is not wildly helpful, but that's something, right? Something to keep in mind. Oh, this 9 looks up, means this is not a 9, so I can place a 9 right there. know that this is red or yellow because all the blues have been accounted for in this row, which means it's either a 2 or a 4, 5, or 6. So 7 is in one of these two squares. And let's look at the 9s again just to see if I've got anything else. Oh no, I've got like a 9 X-wing here in box 2 and box 3, and those will be the last of my 9s. Nothing else to fill in there. It's either 1, 3, or 5. So it's either red or yellow, which is what I was about to color in, but it can't be a 4 or 6 because of the box, and it can't be a 2 also because of the box. So it's either a 1, 3, or a 5. Oh, look, I have a 4, 6 pair that I'm totally forgetting about across this row. It means that this is not a 4 or a 6. Oh, whoops, still in color mode. 4 or 6. Ah, I thought I left. Ah, okay. There we go. All right, so this is a 2 or a 5. So I've kind of got like a 1, 2, 3, 5 quad across this column. Oh, and you know what? All the blues are colored across this column. So let's see if that will give me any information. This is not an 8. But it is a 1, 2, or a 4, 5, or 6. Oh, not a 4. 1, 2, 5, or 6. And then this is what? 1, 2, 5, or 6. Yeah. This is part of that. Hopefully you guys can't hear my brother calling my dog. Our poor dog is deaf, so yeah, I'm hoping that my mic's not picking up on that commotion. Yeah, I just can't figure out where I'd like to go next. I was making good progress, and I still feel good about it. I just want to know where I should go. Like, what should I do next? Five or an 8. Sorry, I started that in the middle of the sentence, so this is either a 5 or an 8. There's a 5, 8 pair across this column. Oh, okay. This 5 looks up. That's not giving me anything. I was hoping. See, I forgot. I didn't see this 5 right here, but I was going to say, oh, that means that 5 has to be on this side, but it doesn't. It can be in any of these 3, so there's a 5 in one of these 3 squares, which I already knew. But this 5 does look down, so I know there's a 5 in one of these 2 squares. And these two both look, look at that. That did give me something just looking in the wrong direction. So this 5 looking down told me that there's a 5 in one of these two squares. These two 5s look over, telling me there's no 5 here or here, which makes this an 8 and this a 5. And that makes this yellow and this blue respectively. It tells me that this is an 8 because it's the last place 8 can go in that box. And this is not a 5, this is not a 5, so this is a 4. This 4 looks over to make this a 6, and this a 5. And then now I've got all of my yellows and all of my blues in this box, so this is red, and this is red, and it's not 4. I'll take that out as an option, so it's 1 or 2. 1, 2 pair in the box. Alright, this 3 and this 1, 3 pair tells me there is a 3 up here in box 2. These two 5s, this 5 looks over to tell me that this is a 2, and this 2 looks down. Now I've got a 1, 3 pair in the column, which tells me that this is a 5, and I'll color that accordingly, right? Nope, that was yellow. And then this one is red. Okay. Cool. Alright, this 2 looks over to make this a 1, and this a 2. This 2 looks down, so this is not a 2. And then what this is like, these two 5s look up. Oh, okay, I already have that marked, but this 5 looks over so that this is not a 5. This is a 5, which makes this 4 or 7. Okay, these two 5s look over to make this a 5. Okay, and then that will help me, I think, finish off the 5s. Let's see. This 5 looks up this way. Wait, no, not quite. Close though. These 2 could be a 5, and these 2 could be a 5. So they're in a wing. So this is either 1, 2, 3, 5, or 6 according to the box, but it can't be 2 or 5 according to the column. So it's 1, 3, or 6. And this is also 1, 3, or 6, except I think, yeah, it can't be a 6 because of the 4, 6 pair. So this is a 1 or a 3, and this is a 6. This 6 makes this a 5, and that makes this a 1 or a 2. Alright, this 5 looks over to make this a 4, and this 4 looks over to make that a 6. And these two 5s look over, and these two 5s look up and down. So this is the only place a 5 can go in box 5. So yeah, alright, cool. So now I know that this is red, because this is, all of the reds are on this quad, and this is the last unaccounted for space that a red can be in, or a 1, 2, 3, and then this one's going to be a high digit, and it is 8, as we've already established from the 7, 9 pair in the row. I know there's a 4 in one of these two squares, and I think it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 quad. It is. And this 2 looks up, so this is not a 2, but I think otherwise the other digits are fine. This is 1, 2, 3, or 8 according to the row, and this again is not a 2. Let me clean that up a little bit there. Okay, this 8 looks over, which means that 8 is in one of these 3, except that, this 8 looks down, and this 8 looks down. Oop. Let's place an 8 right here, and that 8 will make this a 7, which will mean that there's an 8 up here from the two 8s looking over in rows 8 and 9. So this is an 8. Oh, whoops. This is an 8. Okay, how do I keep doing that? 8. Cool. And this 8 will look up telling me that's not an 8. But there is an 8 right here, I think. Yep. So that's an 8. This is not blue, so it's red. And all right, that's looking pretty good. I think that might be all my 8s placed. Let's see. Yep, that's it. And all right, we're getting pretty close to the end here. Let's see what it will take to break it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so 1, 3, 7. This is not a 7. Okay, so now I have a 1, 3 pair here in row 8. So that means this is known, and it is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a 6. All right. And at this point, I'm mostly just coloring for the fun of it, right? This is 1, 2, 3, or 4. And this 1, 2, 3 triple tells me that the 4 goes right there. So none of these are 4s. So 1, 2, 3. And this 2 looks down, telling me this is not a 2. But I think that's all the information I'm getting from that. Oh, this 7 looks up and tells me that's a 9, and that this is a 7. And then this 9 will look up and tell me this is a 9, and this is not. And then that means that this digit is known, and it is a 6. 6. All right. So I need to figure out where 4 goes in this box. I've got a 4 looking up here, a 4 looking up here. So it's going to be in one of these two. And then this row needs a 3, 4, and a 7. 4 does not go here. And 7 does not go there. This is going to be 1, 3, or 4 according to the column, but it's not a 3 according to the row. And this will be 1, 2, 3, or 7 according to the column, not a 3 according to the row, and not 2 because of the row. All right, now we've pretty much got everything filled. The question is, how do I bet I'm just missing a little bit of Sudoku. That's pretty much all that's left, right? Let's see. Let's try looking at Sudoku. Oh, this one looks down and tells me that's a 2. I wonder how long that's been there. This 2 says that's a 3, and we'll finish off the box with a 1 there. This 1 will look down, so this is a 3, this is a 1, there's a 2, this is a 1. This 1, this square sees 2 in the row and 1 in the column, so it's 3. And that makes this a 2. That makes this a 1, which makes this a 3. And then it sees 1 and 3 in the row, so this cell is a 2. This cell is a 3 because of the 1 and 2 in the row, so there's no longer a 3 in either of those squares. That means a 1, 7 pair is in the row 9 of box 7, so there's no 1 down here, which makes this a 3 and this a 2, and let's color them both. This 3 tells me this is not a 3, it's a 4, and this 4 will tell me that's a 1. This is a 7, there's a 3. This 4 will look over so that this is a 7. And because I like to color, I'm going to do it anyway. Since I'm this close, I might as well finish it off, right? But we're pretty close. So this 7 makes this a 4. You're supposed to be yellow. And you're supposed to be blue. All right, this 4 will look down, telling me that's not a 4. You know what? The 2 in the box says this is not a 2, and the 3 in the column tells me it's not a 3, so that is a 1. And to finish off this box, we'll make this a 4. And then the 7 will look down to make this a 1. This 1 makes this a 7. And let's see, 1 makes this a 3, this there's a 3, there's a 1, and let's see, the 6 makes this a 4, and this a 6, and, oh, down here I'm missing 1, this is a 6, and we got 3, 6, alright, There we go. And that was Parapets. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoy solving puzzles that are colored. So I had a great time. I hope you guys enjoyed the solve. I hope a lot of the Sudoku that I missed wasn't too distracting, and you guys weren't like, waiting for me to see that 2 in row 2 or something. But I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Thank you again to BremSter for having me on again, and I hope to record another video soon.